searching for someone who will respond. I'm right here. You said still you're looking for a place you can abide. I'm right here. I'm the one. You don't have to search no more. I'm the one you're looking for. When you call me, I will respond. When you call me, I will respond. When you call me, I will come right into your arms. I will respond to you. You see,
Still searching for someone who will respond. I'm right here.
you say I'm the
You don't have to search no more. I'm the one you're looking for. I'm the one. You don't have to search no more. I'm the one you're looking for.
when you call me,
I will respond.
you call me,
I will respond. When you call me, I will come running to your arms. I will respond.
you call me,
I will respond.
when you call me,
I will respond. When you call me, I will come running to your arms. I will respond to you.
I'm the one.
I'm the one. You don't have to search no more. I'm the one you're looking for. I'm the one. You don't have to search no more. I'm the one you're looking for.
You don't have to search no more.
You don't have to search no more. I'm the one you're looking for.
You don't have to search no more.
You don't have to search no more. I'm the one you're looking for.
When you call me,
I will respond.
when you call me,
I will respond. When you call me, I will come running to your arms. I will respond to you.
I accept this invitation. I accept your invitation to dance with you, to dance with my Father.
Wow, this is where it all started. October 2000, Wednesday night, we had our first gathering. Started out with about 6, 7 people and morphed into what it is today. I am so glad to be a part of this great ministry.
So, Dad, year 2000, it's in October. Tell me what your thoughts were when we had our first service here in this living room. How many people was it? What was that experience like?
I was so excited about being able to accomplish a dream that I had years ago. We had a sofa right here, and then we had chairs kind of lined up in a circle. Mm-hmm. And this is basically what it was about. Very comfortable setting. People was excited. They basically were saying, I'm gonna tell somebody. That's what he said, I'm gonna tell somebody. You don't mind me bringing a friend next week. Mm-hmm. And that's basically was the beginning. We just had Wednesday nights. We didn't have Sundays at a particular time, but quickly, probably within a month, it morphed about 20 people. And that's when we kind of figured out, it's gonna be too small. Matter of fact, we had parking issues. Believe it or not, so we always had parking issues, still today, parking issues. Mm-hmm. But it was an exciting feeling, and I was just glad to step out and do what I knew God had called me to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember those early moments. I really enjoyed them because it was very intimate. We can ask questions. Now, did you really feel like once you started people coming, you was really in line with God, what He was calling you to do and be a part of?
Oh, yes.
In that direction?
Yes. This was something that I knew He was calling me to do. I didn't want to take over a church. I knew I wanted to start a ministry, and I wanted the DNA that I had into people. So this is why I did start church. But yeah, I felt right in tune, right in line with what God was really calling me to do.
Yeah, it's funny because, I just look how small the living room is. We went from 5 people to now over 2,000. So just to go back and reminisce about what that experience was just kind of mind-blowing. And I do remember it was really good times for our family getting together. We just had those Bible study moments, and we actually learned more, I did, about the Word in those times when He was teaching. So I think that experience was so fun and so intimate. And I think that's what we still do to this day. We carry that family-oriented ministry to where we're at now. So I think the whole time I was just excited. Yeah. It was fun. Like everybody always asks me, what was it like when you started church? Like, it was fun to me. It was just church. So I think everything was fine on my end.
We just had a Bible study. The next week, I had some sister-in-laws come and be a part. The following week after that, I had a few people that heard I was beginning the church. So the first month, from 5 people to probably about 20 people, the church grew that quick in that beginning stage. And so it got a little too large for my living room. And so what happened was, we began to look for some kind of place just to have Wednesday night Bible study. I wasn't looking to do Sunday morning yet. I just wanted to do a Bible study and to see how the area that I was going to go in and see what was going to happen. So that was the beginning of Raleigh North Christian Center.
People see where we are now, but to understand where we're going, you got to know how we started.
Well, my salvation experience happened when I was actually in school, about to get married, and just remember calling out to God and said, Lord, I really want to serve you. I knew I was getting married and I wanted to just have a wholesome Christian marriage, but I did not know what that looked like. And I just said, God, just show me, help me. And I believe God heard my cry. And so by the time I got married, and then my husband, at the time, when he got saved at the park, which, at the city park, when they had the outreach and they did an altar call and he got saved, the Lord pointed and reminded me, you wanted to see it. This is salvation. This is how you serve me.
We was like newlyweds. We was wanting to do some things, so the city that we lived had movies that they showed at the city park. And I was in the military, so it just free flowing. So let's just do this like a date night. went out there to the park, seen this movie called The Late Great Planet Earth.
Man is faced by unprecedented perils that threaten to send him crashing into extinction.
Now, from Hal Lindsey's incredible best-selling book comes the film which explores the terrifying prophecies of the Revelations.
Is our planet truly in mortal peril?
The Late Great Planet Earth, featuring Orson Welles.
And it prompted all the things in my mind that I was reading. I'm like, man, you know. And so it was so convicting. The movie convicted me. I knew I had to do something. And so that salvation experience took place as I was walking back to my car. The person that was kind of responsible for the movie came, stopped me, asked me how I liked the movie, and then, make a long story short, he asked me, are you saved? And I put up all of these fronts, like religious fronts, like, yeah, you know, and then I started talking what I used to do in my church that I grew up in. So it was a bunch of works. But he says, no, I'm not talking about that. Do you know Jesus?
Yes, I remember that.
And I'm like, no, I don't. And soon as I said that, he says, I would love to pray with you. And I bowed right there in a city park, people walking around. It was oblivious to me. I couldn't see or feel any of these people. I think I still had my wife's hand in my hand when I bowed. I think I still did. She's standing there. I don't know. I don't remember she bowed or not. But I bowed that night, and I knew something was different. I just didn't know what it was because we had both never experienced salvation. We experienced church. When I got up, there was such a feeling of peace, and I knew something was different. My salvation experience, it started right there. It was nothing religious about it. It was the pure power of God that changed, pulled out the things that God knew I was going to be struggling with. Mm-hmm. He just got rid of them. I was smoking weed at that time, but the weed thing I can remember saying to myself prior to salvation, probably the same time she was saying it, I'm about to get married. I do not want all of my little stuff that I had accumulated from the time I graduated high school until now to be in my marriage. That's what I said to God. I dropped it. Didn't think about it no more until that night. So when I got saved, God immediately took 3 things out of my life. He just took them away, had no desire for them anymore. And that was the beginning. I didn't know that was going to be what it led to, but that was the beginning. So we practically got saved together.
So we actually got married in Arizona. I went from North Carolina, from school, North Carolina, to Arizona to marry him, to get married, because he said, hey, we'll get married this summer. I said, okay. So
no
we
proposal,
went,
no
none.
Come on.
Already telling me what to do. I was like, okay. So we went to Arizona. He was still in the military at the time. And then, of course, when he was in the military, you know, we went to the park, you know, as like a little date, you know, just married, just enjoying life. And so he was still in the Army, went to the park that particular night, and that's how we joined that church. The church was having the outreach, and then they invited us to church. And that's why we always say invite somebody to church, because you never know who's looking for a church or who needs Jesus. So we stayed out there about 7 years, right? 8 years in Arizona. So we knew we were going to eventually go back to North Carolina. We knew we were going to preach or pastor. We knew it was going to be in North Carolina because that's what we prayed for. And God kind of answered that prayer. And that's how we ended up coming to North Carolina. After several years of being faithful in the ministry and learning and growing, it was just time.
Got the vision of preaching before I was ever called when I was in Bremerhaven, Germany. And I was on a tower and I was fixing satellite dishes. As it was sleeting and snowing, I didn't feel no cold, but I could see. I was looking over the sea and I could see the sea. It was very foggy, but God just unfolded a vision. And what I saw was me praying for people. Now, mind you, I wasn't even called to preach. I was just someone in the church. But he never allowed me to see the faces, never allowed me to see the race. It was just people. And I was praying for people, and I was sweating profusely. And I was putting my hands, going from one person to another. And that's what I was doing. And I didn't understand that because, there again, I wasn't called to preach. So that was the first glimpse that God was pointing me in that direction. The church that we was in, as my wife said, was a very evangelistic type of church. They did a lot of outside ministries in the parks, door to door, in the prisons, standing beside parades. I don't care what it was. If it's any kind of gathering, we was always involved in that. So this was every Saturday. Every Saturday at 10 o'clock, we would go and be a part of these outreaches. So over time, just being a part of that, just being active, I think this through repetition, doing this, I began to understand the gift of commitment.
Yes.
I was committed to the ministry and to the leadership of that church. And there again, it wasn't trying to be no pastor because that was the last thing on my mind. I just wanted to be a good Christian. But through the repetitiveness of doing outreaches and talking to people and asking them, do they know Jesus? Somewhere in that time frame, God began to say, okay, here is the next step for you. And so pretty soon the pastor began to ask me to do little leadership kinds of things. And through that, I began to get a picture that I think he's calling me to the ministry in some sort. But I never thought it would be a pastor at that time.
We don't take note of that. All we think about, hallelujah, the next party, hallelujah.
I was going downtown and preaching every week. Then, began to do street preaching in projects, with loudspeakers and
Homeless.
homeless shelters and homeless communities. I was constantly doing that all the time. So I was constantly preaching. Okay, so in the meanwhile I'm doing this, I'm thinking this is what God wants me to do.
Right.
I'm assuming this is, it really wasn't pastoring. It really was this.
Preaching.
So in the meanwhile, we are in an area here in Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill, where there's a lot of professional people here. And so, remember I was raised on educators. So I'm like, okay, since I'm doing this, I need to get a better job kind of attitude. So the IT, which I was doing in the military, that's how that came up. That's how my business even began to evolve. God blessed it. I'm like, okay, I'm preaching. Okay, the business he gave me is blossoming. I guess this is what he called me to do. And so all of that was going great. And right in the height of all of that, now he says, I want you to start a church. I'm like, wow.
Before we didn't start a church, like take over a church, I wanted to do that because I didn't feel like working. I'm like, let's just be voted in. You know how they vote in a pastor? I'm for that. Vote me in. Yay, let's get a little internship or whatever. But I knew God didn't want us to do that because he wants us to go back to the foundation. Preaching the gospel, the Bible, teaching people the word of God, and making disciples. That was a key thing.
Now the reason why I didn't want to take over a church is because I'm a builder by nature. I like to build things. I like to see things come to fruition. I want to see it. And I'm not anxious about anything. I can wait until something blossoms. And plus, I wanted people to have my DNA.
He wanted to disciple them.
And I wanted them to have, some things so we're not missing any pieces as we grow. So when we started the ministry in our living room, that all came together. And that's why it grew as fast as it did.
I wasn't surprised because we moved back to Raleigh to start a ministry, but it was like 10 years later. So I wasn't surprised. My thought was like, okay, here we go. Bye-bye to self.
We met on Hargett Street in a men's home. The downstairs, they had a sanctuary. They had pews. There was an old converted historic home. And so it was large enough, they had pews and they had a little pulpit. And so the person that came to my first service said, you can use my place, you don't have to pay somebody. So that's how we started our Sunday morning services.
I like home house even better because it was more cozy, but it was just so, like in the gym, it was echoey and it wasn't, and it was cold and hot. The temperature was never right. And so, but back then, we used to literally go door to door and hand out flyers. Y'all remember handing out flyers and invite people, and people came because really, that's how we grew.
We did that at Carolina Pines?
Oh yeah, so we invited.
I remember that more so at Carolina Pines.
Yeah, because we put a flyer on James and Stephanie's door. That's how they end up coming. Because if they wasn't there, we left a flyer and said, hey, we're gonna have service at the Carolina Pines. And so that's how we went there. And then
that's right, because they stayed right by Carolina Pines.
Yeah, they live right by there. And so then once we did that, and people that came from like the home house and different like that, places like that, because really we had everybody most of the people that we got to come to invited were not in a church or transitioning or straight out just, just looking for a church, basically sinners, basically. So that was beautiful because that's what God called us to look for. We were not trying to get anybody from anybody's church, because when we came 10 years ago, before we started, we moved to Raleigh to start a ministry. And I remember we let the pastor know when we were under at the time, say, hey, we're here, but we just want to be covered because we're going to eventually start a ministry. That was 10 years later. So when I think we called Lions Park, said, hey, Lions Park is available now. Yeah. And I was like, yes. And that's how we got to Lions Park.
I definitely remember, because I don't remember how long, because Carolina Pines was a communion center. Right. And I don't remember how long we was in that room first before we went to the gym. And then we went to the gym. Right. And did we ever go back to the room, or we went straight from the gym to Lions Park?
We may have been back to the room.
I think we went back to the room for maybe about...
We went back to the room.
Gotcha, yeah. But I do remember, I remember that vividly. I remember that gym was horrible. That sound was horrible.
Look at me, but one day you're going to be doing this same thing. And see, all you're going to do is reap my benefits. You're going to reap what I have sown. And when you step into this,
the thing about it, I remember, because even though it may have been just 6 months, it just seemed it took a lot of energy because we would set up everything. Yes. And you remember you created an aisle in between the Carolina Pines. There was like a little aisle that people could come through.
Chairs on each side.
Chairs on each side. We just always kept it really tight.
And we learned how to take that church out of a box, so to speak, to take down the things that we needed, to move things in so that we could set up for church, and we moved them right back out after church was over so that the community center would go back to being a community center.
So we were at Carolina Pines for about 6 months or so. Like we said, the heat broke, we was in the gym, and then we had to go back into the building, whatever. So then Lions Park opens up. And we finally get Lions Park. So how was that transition? Do you remember what that was like?
Well, the transition was great. Number one, because the exercise room, I'm not sure what it was called, was better for sound. Okay. Yeah, it was better for sound. So right off the bat, that was going to be better. And it was more intimate space. And so that transition was wonderful.
you know when we get the revelation of what that really is? Amen. Something happened in your spirit. Amen. Because when you realize you can do nothing.
Well, here's the reason why we wanted Lions Park. Lions Park was one of the areas I used to evangelize before I was a pastor. It was the area that I used to go when we used to set up, and we would have these outdoor services. Well, Lions Park is really where we want to be originally. If you notice that those apartments that's out there, the project area is called Raleigh North Apartments. I got the name from that because I wanted to be part of that community. I wanted them to have a church. And so I named it Raleigh North, not knowing I was going to eventually be in North Raleigh. I never knew that. What ended up happening is that the director of Lions Park had favor with us, loved us, and began to open up more rooms.
That's what I was
and
going
more
to say.
space for us.
We had more space. We got to use the kitchen. and the game room and the recreation room. That's how we started the youth ministry, because Mariah, and that was my prayer. I prayed when we started ministry for men and children, because I knew Mariah was young. And so God gave us children and men right away, but we've always needed room, which is a beautiful thing. And so with Lions Park, had everything we needed, and it was in the location right there, Raleigh North Apartments. What do you call those? Yeah. Raleigh North Apartments, and that's where the name came from, Raleigh North Christian Center, because we wanted to be able to reach those people. Like, yes, this is going to be their church, you know, their ministry. And so therefore the transition was great, because that was our, okay, now we're here. We're going to do this.
We came up with our welcome song
At
right
Lions
in the
Park.
Park. Yep.
You came up with the
Shannon
welcome song.
wrote our welcome song.
Yes.
I remember
We
that.
were in the kitchen.
Uh-huh.
I think I was washing dishes.
And you came up with it.
And I think we were talking about the church, you know?
Yes.
And I don't know how, we just came up with it. But I was like, we should do this. Raleigh North welcomes you.
And that was it. We wrote it down.
Yeah, so it was fun.
When we began to figure out that, you know, this should be the place, we began to try to buy land. Right across the street from Lions Park was a vacant lot. At that time, we thought that land was astronomical. We thought it's a number that we couldn't even obtain, but we were still trying. So when everything kind of fell through, this didn't work, we knew that we were going to have to leave. And so through searching and having one of the members here look at some real estate, we found this place. And when we found this place that we're in right now, 7715 Lewisburg Road, I'm like, that's far out. That's far out from the inner city of Raleigh. You know, how are people going to adjust? But God spoke to me and said, well, everybody you have come from without. There's nobody in that area. So it shouldn't be a problem. So when we made the transition, we only lost one person. And so when we found this property, Stephanie Freeman found this property, said look at it. There again, to look at the building, you would never know that it was a church. You know, you had no idea. From the street, it looked very small, but it was a two-story building, 5,000 square feet. 5,000 square feet was that building, and nice theater-looking sanctuary. I'm like, this is perfect. Downstairs for all the children's rooms, so it was perfect for us. We really started growing then. We really took off growing. At Lions Park, we left with 77 people. That's how many people was in the congregation at that particular time. And now we hit 7715 Lewisburg Road. Within the first 90 days, we began to put 25 people in increments begin to come and be a part of that ministry.
I surrender to you right now, Father, knowing, God, you will bless me beyond measure. So help me get there, Father.
Because what happened was they saw the exterior. I remember this specifically. They saw the exterior and it was like underwhelmed. It was like, this is it? This side of the church? Because if you look from the outside, it looks like a small home. And people was like, okay. And it wasn't until, I don't remember what happened, but we were able to show them the inside at another time. And they got so excited from seeing the inside, because the inside was so much better than the outside. So it's almost like don't judge a book by a cover. So once they saw the interior of the building, they saw the first floor with all the seats, they saw how the setup was, they saw the downstairs with a kitchen, youth area, and offices. They got really excited and bought in. Because I remember they were talking about, at first it was like, this is small.
Yeah, because it looked like a house, but it didn't go up, it went down. It was a basement. So your second floor was a basement and it opened up wide, you know.
I think it was fitting because we are a family type of ministry, you know what I mean? Like you're going to feel a part of the family if you join in with our ministry and serve and you connect. And that's the 7715 Lewisburg Road to me was such a fun, intimate experience.
Yes, we were very unified.
We're already very relational, but it was like you definitely had to connect because you couldn't hide. It was just, it was a very intimate and small space. I mean, it was bigger than what we had, but it was intimate and small space.
And it was intimate because we were that touchable. Yeah. We knew everybody, we worked together. One thing that it kind of like, we was like, man, when we stopped being the mobile church, because everybody would help put up and sit down. So once we moved in there, the mobile church thing went away and we was like, God, I hope we still have that closeness.
Well, I was
connection.
excited about that because I was like, we don't have to set up anymore for
Right,
we can
so
just leave
people
our
like
stuff
that.
right there in the building. I'm like, I feel like we made it. And that was a time, like you said, I knew everybody's name.
Yeah.
That was the last time I knew everybody at the church. Were you a visitor or somebody comes, I knew everybody's name, their family. And that's what I think really contributed to us being so unified at that particular times, because we was like really like a family.
We was a fellowship in church. We always been a fellowship in church.
You had to make a decision about, stepping away from your business, and I think that was a huge sacrifice because it was very successful, and I remember just kind of that angst of just having to decide. And I remember we funded everything, the church van,
we bought
the
everything.
rental space, all the, it was like seed money in a sense from the hard work of your, technology business to make a sacrifice, to serve and to do what God said.
Well, see, I knew that because I said, I know that God promised to give 100-fold back. So when we did that, it wasn't a pressure headache to me because I was sowing. And I knew I was sowing in the good ground, and I knew God, you can't beat God given. I've always said that. So that was a blessing.
Then what else? Okay, the church is not even able to support us, nowhere near it, and not even put the business down. So I try to do both of them, and through doing both, I became sick. That's how sickness came into my life, the high blood pressure and all that kind of thing, because I was trying to balance both.
I think that's really when our church started to explode youth-wise. Our kids was very involved. We started ministries like the men's ministry, the women's ministry. I think we even did a financial learning class, if I remember correctly. And it was funny because what I remember about that location is we had a projector screen. We used to pull that projector screen down, and we used what do you call those things, a little projector, where you had a clear paper and you put it down. So that was the lyrics for the congregation, really, to sing along with the praise team. And I used to swipe it and put the other paper down.
And we had that at last part.
Yeah, we sure enough did. Yeah, so I remember that. I'm like, wow, humble beginnings, that's all I can say.
Because we had a lot of young couples, young married couples with young kids, began to come and be a part of the ministry. It started in Alliance Park, okay? And what happened was, because you invite people, you normally invite people in your age group. And so when they began to start coming, they began to see all the fun, the kids began to see the games. It wasn't church to them. And the parents like, oh, I got an opportunity, for my kids, to have a space for them. And so it's kept reaping and reaping and reaping from just, actually from Tracy, kids, really. I think they're the first ones, if I can remember correctly. But
yes, I always say she's the reason why we have children's church.
Yeah.
Because she had kids. She grew the children's church. And the kids, the thing we always said, people will come to Raleigh North Christian Center because they're children. So their children will invite children. They love it, so the parents will stay.
Yeah.
But it was because of the children invite. That's how it happened.
From my understanding, I always had a strong youth ministry, a strong connection with the one, because we're family and we are multi-generational, but we just have had a strong experience for young people.
The children's ministry here at Raleigh North Christian Center is a ministry based on foundational truths, just like the adult church. We are teaching our children all about God, about praising Him, about salvation, about His Holy Spirit, His Son Jesus.
And going back to the men, we always had men in the parking lot. We wanted male ushers. Like, you want to establish that male thing,
the men.
That male presence. So I think that's why men came, and men love men.
Men
they really can come up under a man. So Dr. Chapman's a man's man. And so they see how he leads his family, that example, and that I want to lead my family that way. And he got him in position. A man, we like to have a role. We like to have a purpose. We like to have a job to do. And that's what we had at Raleigh North, and still have to this day, is like, oh, okay, we're gonna put you to work.
People saw that we need to move. We were like really busting out the scene. parking lot was crazy. It was just so packed. So they saw that need. They say, we definitely need to build.
Sanctuary is bursting. God has blessed us with an opportunity to move right up the street, not too far from our current location, of a new sanctuary.
So exciting because we were like busting out the seams, even though it was like 250 people, but we were doing so many activities in that little church, okay, up the street. It was like, just like we're doing now, it was like so many different activities and and the parking was terrible. And so we was like, they were excited to build. We were gonna build. And we even had the song Crossing to War. That song was so fun. Like we made up a song, had t-shirts, and we were excited to build. And this was like, when I said overwhelming, I was like overwhelmed. Like I had to like shift my mind because it was too big for my mind for us little bit of people to build all of this. But the vision was big and excitement and people were ready.
And we started a campaign called Crossing the War. And we used this campaign to get everybody on the same page and start giving towards our new campus here. And I do remember everybody was extremely unified in this process because everybody was excited, because everybody literally saw the need of why we need a new building. And we had little fun skits, we had all these type of things that kind of raised this money, and we really did it. And, you know, and that's another area, or one of the things that how we got this building was the Crossing the War campaign.
Right.
One of the things I do remember about the Crossing to War campaign is all the men, it goes back to our men ministry, we all had our army fatigues on. It was at our old building at 7715, green shirt, army fatigues, and we all prayed and we all marched down to this land. This is before it was even cleared, and we had scriptures in our hand, and we buried it in the ground. We went in different groups. We also had hammers, and we hammered scriptures against trees. And so we really wanted to establish that foundation, that unity amongst our men, and we really set the tone here. And that's what we did really at the 5009 campus already as well. We buried scriptures in the ground. And so I think that was a wonderful experience. Again, we were unified. Everybody was excited about it. We had multiple groups on the land, and we all prayed together. We all, made some type of sacrificial giving, and we buried the scriptures, and we nailed those scriptures against the trees as well. And I just remember that was another example of how unified we were.
The blessing of the Lord maketh one rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it. Our land. We're taking the land.
I had a little campfire out there. We burnt things out there that we're going to leave behind.
Yep.
We just had a whole setup on this property at that particular time.
Yeah, no building.
Yeah, so to me it was like a dream come true.
Yes.
Remember, the property was $550,000, okay? We was paying $2,000 a month at the community center. So it's gonna be a big jump for us. I'm like, man. And so I got favor with a banker. He began to tell me, okay, here's what you're gonna need in order to acquire this property. And I didn't know that, it was gonna take as much as it took. So, make a long story short, I had my company, and my company was doing very, very well, super well. And so they said, the only way we can give you this money, you're gonna have to put your company up for collateral and your house. And no one really understood what me and Sandy is that. So the only way to get that money, we put that up to be able to get the down payment for 7715 Lewisburg Road.
And that's how we got in there without getting everybody to sign. They're going to help us pay. We didn't do none of that, praise God.
But I think it's a great testimony because people don't know like the personal sacrifice you guys had to do to start this ministry. And that goes back to people see the glory but don't know the story.
Well, you know how I always say, we gave up, we gave up everything, and how, we use our monies, to help start the church and all that stuff like that. But they just know the details of it. But we always sacrifice. And that's what we always say, we're the first ones to give. Even when we say sacrificial giving or 5009, we're always the first one to give. So because we believe in leading by example, even in giving.
Yeah.
I remember when we finally got the building built, and we had like a little open house where everybody can tour it. People were crying, they were worshiping, talking about the members. So it was the members tour when we first opened. Were you here when we had the members tour?
There was no seats,
it was
all
empty
open.
in here, it was just all empty, and the building was finished. But we wanted them to see it, and they worshiped, and they cried, and they thanked God, and the kids were so excited. They wanted their kids, and they're like, this is our church. They were so excited because it was so big and beautiful and just blessed and anointed. So it just made it very, very special.
So it was like, it was tight, intimate, but this was like humongous. And I think, so we had that first service here, and I'm like, I'm in awe. I don't know what the word was. I was so much in awe. And also what I remember is we had this huge window and the sun was beaming through it. We had no blinds, no nothing to cover it up. And I remember we had people with shades on for first service because that sun was coming in. It was like, oh, we didn't account for that big window. It looked beautiful, but the sun was coming in.
Yes.
That was preaching, and everybody was like blinded by the big window behind us. So it's a little bit of growing pains there. But again, within like maybe the first year or two, we was like, oh, we're gonna have to build again because we outgrew. And to me, this was the first time where I didn't know everybody's name. Once we moved here and the church began to grow, I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know the majority of people's name here. I was like, before I knew everybody's name, now I might know 50 people up in here, but it was amazing to see how God did that and how much the church grew within those first 2 years.
God is in this house.
We was at 250 people, maybe, on a good day at 7715. On a good day. We had 2 services going on. We wanted to do what we're doing right now at 5009. We wanted to show people we got the land, okay?
Right.
Okay, so the land was cleared out, and here's the thing, and we said we're gonna have a service, and it was gonna be on Easter. I'm like, Easter, no building.
We had a tent.
So we rented a tent, and they put pine straw, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, this is Easter. Black folk ain't gonna come to no Easter service in no tent. I'm like, with a tent. And that service, we had 400 people show up. And God showed us, I can do what I'm gonna do in your guys' life without a building.
Now, we have had a Holy Week, lots of Easter celebrations going on this entire week. We're gonna just get some feedback from you on how you think things went this week.
Things were absolutely wonderful. It exceeded my expectation. Most definitely today, and then what happened this morning and what happened at this service. But it started, this week, had a wonderful time at Bible study. Then we had our Easter play, which the presence of God really came down, and a lot of people have emailed me and called me that they have never experienced a foot washing before, so it was their first time. And the significance of that was showing how to be a servant. And so when we went through the process of doing that, the presence fell and people start feeling it, and so that kicked it off. And then we had this morning, where we had our baptism, where we baptized 45 people, and that was an exciting moment for me and for them. I didn't realize how many people we had because it went by so quickly. And so the Spirit just kind of kept on going until we came here. Now I'm gonna tell you, when I got here this morning and looked around, I wasn't sure what was gonna happen today or how many people was gonna come out. I just tried to just kind of stay focused on what I was gonna preach, but as you all have seen, they kept coming. I'm like, my goodness, folks just kept coming, and we had to get more chairs, and the message and the spirit and the singing, the excitement of everybody here, I want to say it's making me excited. I'm glad today it happened on Easter, a Resurrection Sunday, to be a part of the new beginnings of Raleigh North Christian Center. And I'm gonna tell you what, I think, as Brother Rodney had told me, we're not big enough. Lord help us, what we gonna do? They ain't even put a piece of concrete down, we ain't big enough. So we're gonna try to figure out something, how to facilitate what God has ordained for Raleigh North to have. And I'm blessed to have you, I'm blessed to have him, part of this ministry, because you guys know how to do it right, don't you?
Yes, we do. We do things in excellence. We want to bring it to the people, and that's one of the things I thought about when we came in, is how many people actually showed up today, and that we will have to expand our walls. But this place is going to be a magnet, don't you think?
I think so. When we started building this place and
and the square footage of this place, I thought we was going to be here forever.
It's humongous. We was like, oh my God, it's so big.
Yeah, this place is like huge to us.
Standing on the property, God has blessed us now. We have building our sanctuary. It's coming up as we speak.
You know, people were saying, several people said, you're building too small. Remember that?
I do.
Several people said, you're building too small. We was like, this is humongous. I don't know what you talking about. We in that little building, and we're here. They was like, you're building small. I was like, oh, I don't receive that, because I know this is not. Well, thank you that you feel like we're building too small, but no, this is big.
Our ministry growth, we started different ministries like Healthy Lifestyles, mental health. We was able to do every place we've gone to, we're able to do ministry at a higher level.
Yes, add more ministry.
And add more ministries.
And 5009 is bigger than Raleigh North Christian Center.
Yes.
It's bigger than the church. It's the community. It's the city. So it's way bigger than us. It's not just about us. And so that's what I'm excited about. So it's not just about the church, it's bigger than the church. Really, 5009 is about the community. 5009 is about Raleigh.
Yeah.
Raleigh North supplies all the tools for your life, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're a senior, whether you're a youth. All the things we teach, that's natural what we teach, is what we do call applying the Word of God for today's living. So when you leave this church, you are totally equipped to take on life and to be successful in life. That's what we do.
We not just do the spiritual food, but we do physical, meaning that we teach, we have financial classes, we have entrepreneur ministry, we have healthy lifestyle. So your whole being, body, soul, and spirit will be affected and changed when you come to Raleigh North Christian Center. If you are not just a hearer but a doer of the word, you will have a transformed life.
Raleigh North Christian Center meets the needs of the whole person because we have so many amazing ministries that are designed for you to thrive in your complete life. From entrepreneurship, if you are looking to expand who you are through having a business, to financial learning, really being able to manage and build for your own financial freedom. And we have just amazing family and life ministries where we do life together. So I love the fact that really as a church, we are a spiritual and church family. And we care about you thriving holistically. And we want you to have relational health, and we want you to grow in God, but also the practical elements of applying the principles of God to everyday life.
Well, what I love about RNCC is we do meet the needs of the whole person. You know, how I like to explain it is whether it's our financial entrepreneurship, where, you know, we focus on our finances, or whether it's mental health. You know, we're in a mental health, you know, era right now where that's very crucial. And we have a ministry for that. You know, physical health. You know, we teach classes on how to eat better. We teach classes on how to do exercise, what healthcare products to use. So that's what I really love, because whatever situation you're going through, we have something for that. And we like being a wholehearted ministry where we reach the whole person. Because at RNCC, we're about building dreams and building people.
I love my congregation. We got the best church in North Carolina. I can't say the world, but I can say the world. To me, we got the best church in the world. Like Pastor said, the love, we are a family type of church. Every ministry, I love children's ministry. I love the military ministry. I love women's ministry, men's ministry. I love everything about our church. There's a place for everyone. I love the in crowd. I love the Girl Scouts. I love everything about our church. It is fun. We have a great time at our church. I love the praise team. I love the music ministry. I love the band. I love drama, the drama team. Just everything is so, you're right, it is fun. I never thought about it, but it is fun. I love going to church.
Yeah.
I love when visitors come. I like when people bring their family. I love when you greet people. I love the hugs. I love the baby dedication. I love the choir. I love my church. We got the best church in the world. So we want our church, I want people to go to Raleigh North and they look like they go to Raleigh North, because the favor of God is in Raleigh North. You know, the Spirit of God dwells there and the favor is on us. you know, and so we're spiritual parents, and we want our kids to go far beyond above us in every area of their life.
Christian life is a lifestyle, and our Father is a king, and we're king's kids, and I want them to grow into that and know it and believe it and really embrace all the promises of God. So that is my biggest desire, that we all just grow and we live in such a way that people will go, ooh, I want to be like you. And that's my desire. Everyone will just grow in Christ and know how much Jesus loves them. Like Pastor Chapman says, Jesus loves you so much. And once you know how much Jesus loves you, then if you believe he loves you, then you believe he wants great gifts for you. He wants the best for you. And you are worthy. And embracing that, we can affect the whole world.
We love that our ministry focuses on developing the whole person, but we're most proud of lives being changed. RNCC builds people, builds dreams.
It's really amazing to see how God has really blessed Dreamcast Productions. Every time we've done a show, people come to us after the show and tell us, hey man, you just talked about my life. You just wrote about my life. We have people who have never stepped foot into a church before, but they'll come to see a theatrical play, and we put on these theatrical plays, and they'll say, hey man, you know, I just gave my life to Christ in the seats while the show was going on. Now that's powerful. We don't go out to preach to people. We go out to have a good time, give you good quality entertainment, and flow with it. So to see it come from a seed to where it is now, all because of the teachings from both Raleigh North Christian Center and Dr. Chapman and Lady Chapman, because she pours into our lives too, especially my wife Shakira. Lady Chapman is such a force in our lives because she believes in faith and using that faith in order to get to that next level. And then with the teachings of Dr. Chapman, it really has shown us that God can bless something small and turn it into something great, all the while blessing somebody else's lives. Because it's not about us, it's about the people, and it's about bringing up the kingdom.
I've been at Raleigh North for 5 years now. I've got 4 children, and I never endured any type of mental health issue. During my pregnancy, I saw that I was starting to become withdrawn, not be as active. I remember telling myself, oh, you're just tired, you're pregnant, you're just tired. But I never experienced that with any of my other pregnancies. As I became and progressed in my pregnancy, I realized something wasn't quite right. But after talking to my daughter, I remembered that Janelle Johnson, she's one of our church members, she was a friend of mine on Facebook. She, maybe 2 to 3 weeks before that, had posted a post about postpartum depression and how real it is, how it is something real. And I remember reading that article because, again, in the back of my mind, I knew something was wrong with me. So, of course, I quickly remembered that, and the very next day, I reached out to her through Facebook. The breakthrough for me is something that this Janelle said during one of my therapy sessions. She talked about faith without works. That is something Pastor talks about all the time. And that is something that's still big in the ministry. You know, you can't keep asking God to help, but you're not helping yourself. And you're not working towards any of that. And one of the things she had said was, you're praying. And you're really praying, but how much are you really relying on God, and how much are you trusting God to really bring you through all of this? And I'll never forget that as soon as I got back in my car, after that session, I was riding in the car and one of my favorite songs came on. I don't even know if it was the radio or if it was through my phone that it was playing, but the song, Jacob's song, and that's what by Brie, and it talks about, she's just pleading to God. I'm not letting you go until you bless me, until you change me, until you, And I remember just starting to sing, and I was just singing, and I was singing, and it was like this weight was just being lifted off of me. I don't even know how I was driving. I don't even know how I was driving, but I just remember really letting go and really starting to focus more on God, and instead of focusing on my issues and my problems and the whys and the sadness, I started focusing more on Him and turning my face more towards Him. Not just really praying, but actually doing what I'm praying about. And the weight just started coming off. And to take that away from me. And to really see the power in His healing. It's indescribable.
We tried for years to get pregnant after we got married, and it just didn't happen. And so I think a lot of times our flesh wants things to happen in our timing, and we couldn't understand why it wasn't happening. And so we would get in line and we would go up for prayer often. I went up numerous times for that very desire to be pregnant, to be a mother, and it just wasn't happening for us. I mean, there were times when First Lady actually laid hands on my womb, and it happened 2 or 3 times that she laid hands on my womb. And so we would go up to the altar, but it still wasn't happening for us. We believed God, but it just wasn't happening. And so we went up to the altar one particular Sunday, and
yeah, so that Sunday we went up to the altar, and Pastor was praying for and prophesying to LaWanda, and he just kept prophesying and praying over her, and then he just kind of stopped and he turned to me and came over to me, and he ministered to me and kind of prophesied about just me and our role. And from there, I don't know if I still expected it to happen when it happened, but for us, we prayed about it often, we talked about it often, and it was just it was a difficult time, because even during that time, it was hard to go to family functions because they're always like, when are you getting pregnant? When are you gonna have kids? So it was just kind of tough to continue to go and answer the same question. Well, we don't know when, God's timing. That was always my answer, at least. So, and it truly was God's timing.
When we actually found out that we were pregnant, I for one had stopped thinking about it so much. I had kind of rested in God's timing and rested in trusting Him, and my faith had increased. I think it was that particular prophecy when Pastor spoke to Michael that helped me to get to that place. And so God fulfilled His promise for us. He gave us the desires of our heart. And so when we found out we were pregnant, it was unexpected for me because we really hadn't been talking about it. We really hadn't been thinking about it. And God did it.
My name is Tori Burton, and we've been a member of Raleigh North since 2016. On February 18th, 2018, we experienced a tragedy to our family. We had a house fire. It happened the afternoon of February the 18th. It's a day that I'll never forget. Me and my daughter were home, and we were cooking in the kitchen, and the pot that I was using to cook in caught on fire. It was actually a grease fire, and it was a normal day. I mean, the day was going like any other day. I'd never, thought of anything like that to happen, but when that happened, that really changed our lives. When the church had announced that they were having a financial peace class, I prayed about it and just went back and forth with it. I think I even mentioned it to you that I was thinking about taking the class, and so I finally said, you know what, I'm gonna do this because I felt like I needed to do something for our home. I wanted us to be financially better. Pastor preaches about that too, about you have to get yourself in order, whether it's spiritually or financially. So I did take that leap of faith and signed up for the course and was all geared up and ready, but I was only able to attend 2 Saturdays because after that second Saturday, that's when the fire happened. And I was thinking to myself, like, Lord, how could this happen when, I thought I was doing what I needed to be done. Now we've lost everything. But I honestly feel that because I took that step, he blessed my efforts, because he totally took us and put us in a better financial state than we were before the fire.
Raleigh North Christian Center can better serve the community at a larger scale at 5009 Lewisburg Road. Here are some of our ministry leaders here at RNCC to share why Project 5009 is necessary for greater impact.
Hello, I am Jacqueline Grant, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Youth Executive Director here at Raleigh North Christian Center.
And I'm Daisy Otutuloro. Hello, everybody. I serve as the department leader for the First Step section of the youth ministry.
My duties here as the Youth Executive Director is to lead the youth ministry spiritually, curriculum-wise, as well as with our volunteers, making sure that they have what they need in order to make sure that our children and our youth have what they need. I'm passionate about serving in this ministry for ages 0 to 8 because I just feel like during that age or during that time frame in your life, it's such a time of framing how you're going to be a productive citizen in the world, a productive citizen in the kingdom of God. And so having the opportunity to provide leadership and support for those youth and those who are supporting our youth, it just makes my heart happy.
First Step can have greater impacts once we move to 5009, simply because we'll have more space. Right now we're running over. We regularly hit our ratios where we can safely care for babies and kids in First Step, so we have to turn families away quite often. So once we are able to expand into the space that's prepared for us at 5009, we'll be able to serve more kids, and consequently we'll be able to have more of an impact with families who come in. A lot of first-time families are looking for a nursery space to have their children go to, somewhere that they feel safe and comfortable. And so us having the opportunity to receive those families and for them to go and worship while we take care of their kids, that's going to increase our reach significantly.
Like Daisy said, as we move to 5009, we'll have space to accommodate safely all of our youth from 0 to 18 years old. We'll have nurseries, we'll have areas for our crawlers, we'll have areas for all of our various levels as developmentally they grow, and they'll have space that will align with what those developmental supports that are needed for our youth. We're going to even have a mother's room. Mom, sometimes you just have to take your baby out, and there's certain things that you just need to do privately or have that space. And so we're so blessed to have that in 5009, as well as we're going to have in our youth suite, which is going to be a suite, a large, nice area accommodating everything that a child would need in a ministry. We'll have a special needs area to support our families. There's a community of families that need our support on Sundays with our special needs children. And so we will be able to accommodate that. There's going to be an indoor playground, outdoor playground. It's just going to be a wonderful place to be if you're a child. I want to do it.
Yeah, I want to play. Okay, wait, I left. I'm sorry.
All right, my name is Ryan Dozier. I serve here at Raleigh North Christian Center as a young adult pastor in Crowd, which stands for In Christ Choosing Righteousness Over Worldly Distractions.
My name is April Dozier, and I am one of the leaders in the outreach ministry.
So In Crowd is designed for students that's graduating high school, normally 18 years old. So In Crowd has been designed to help those get better when they walk with Christ, and also just have, tools to operate in life to be successful.
I am passionate about serving in the outreach ministry because it's all about the lives of others. It's not about us, it's about everybody else. You have to be selfless, and it's a way to win souls, to win souls to Jesus Christ. That's the main focus. And what we have done so far, we have reached people at Duke Hospital, Wake Med, Rex, by offering lunches for the nurses. During the pandemic, we have done coat drives. It's been amazing because you just don't know what other people are needing.
At the 5009 campus, the impact the in-crowd can have is limitless, because we do want to have our own space where we can come in and just kind of chill and have our small Bible study group, which is called Crowd Control. And we can invite more people. We have Wake Tech right up the street from us. What a wonderful place for the students to come and hang out at the 5009 campus. It'll be just for them. We can chill, have some coffee, have everyday conversations. And then, of course, after that, then we can start talking about the spiritual stuff. So we can't wait to get down there. Can't wait.
So many things can take place when it comes to outreach. We can be that open door for someone that needs something right now. And giving is a form of salvation. It opens up the door for people to say, okay, what do I need to do to give my life to Christ? Because if you're just giving your coat, giving your toboggan, giving your sweater to me, giving me food to eat, that's just letting me know that somebody loves me. Yeah. And so that is a form of outreach. It's not about us, it's about everybody else.
.5009 is so important to the city of Raleigh. It's really an opportunity for us to have the space to do what we already do, where we connect families, where we're able to teach and train, where we're able to equip, where we're able to expand the arts. I mean, a lot of our young people connect with God through the arts here, whether it's mime or step team or dance. We launched the drum line last year. I mean, there is such a power of you knowing God in the space of physical movement, arts, and song. And so we want to be able to continue to do that. But in the new campus, we can actually have a dedicated youth wing. We will be able to serve our growing need. Our fastest growing rate is in our youth area. And so that is exciting. So first we'll have our ministry center, then we're going to have our multi-purpose space and be able to create the space for the healthy lifestyles part of our heart for families and individuals. So it's important to do what we're doing without the constraint that would turn people away who don't know God or who are not connected to this church already. So Raleigh North Christian Center at 5009 Lewisburg Road is a powerful opportunity for us to build ministry within community. And I think that's so important now because we have lost connectivity in this season of COVID. But even before that, with social media, people are dealing with more loneliness and isolation. To create a space where you're able to do life together, connect, belong, be, grow, that we won't have to, have the frustrations of our physical space constraints. I mean, within the first 10 to 15 minutes, our youth area fills up every single service, whether it's Bible study or Sunday services. And it's so difficult when you're a young family or a new family to the area to not be able to have the full experience, worship experience at RNCC, because we just don't have the room and the space to accommodate, all these sweet, precious little ones. We want every person to grow in God at each stage of their life. And we believe that that's important to the heart of God. So in our first phase, where we have our ministry center, that is designed to help people encounter God in a personal, powerful way. So whether you are 5 years old or 55 years old, you're going to know God personally. Our youth wing in itself has been designed so that we can accommodate special needs children, that we can accommodate teens in their own space. We can accommodate middle school students, which we haven't been able to do that as we would like here. We will be able to support families in their own development in unity, but also in their own development in God by having resources so that their kids can connect in their own way. And the thing that I'm so excited about is just having the room to grow and to belong and to be. Because really every phase of 5009 is a place where community happens.
I am the Director of Project Management for Ministry Solutions. We are a company that assists churches only with basically taking their idea from fruition, concept to construction. As a project manager, we make sure that we assimilate a team for the client to make sure everything is on budget and on time. So in this case, we've helped assist in hiring the architect, the engineers for the site, as well as AVL or audio, visual, and lighting consultants, as well as other consultants that assist during the process. Again, all in the efforts to make sure we're within the budget and keep within the scope. The project manager also corrals everyone to make sure that all information is going to every vessel during the process.
My name is Andre Bright, and I'm with Mad Praise Consulting. My role in the project is one of project coordinator. In that role, I work with the church to gather information that our consultants need, the architect, our engineers, our project managers, to make sure they have the information they need. I participate in the various meetings and provide consulting using my industry experience to identify and articulate best practices for driving this initiative forward. What I want to accomplish in Project 5009 is the manifestation of the vision. I want to facilitate the activities that clarify the vision, that translates it into building plans and actions that build a facility that brings forth the manifestation of the vision that God has given Dr. Chapman. I'm excited to work with Raleigh North Christian Center on building God a new house, a new facility through which his ministry can flow. But really what I'm excited about is taking my 25 years of experience doing a similar type of work for Fortune 500 companies and applying it for something that benefits and glorifies God. So that's really what makes it so exciting. It's like my purpose being aligned with his will, and it's just a wonderful feeling.
My name is Andres Rivera. I am the Executive Director of AV Gorilla, and I am the project lead for 45009. My role for this project, as I said, is the project lead, and we concentrate mostly to work with RNCC and make sure that all of the technologies that we're going to implement now, it's going to be good for now and for the future. And we also make sure that everything that we're implementing for RNCC has a step for growth. So we put in infrastructure for growth and make sure that whatever you install today, 5 years from now when it changes, you have that capability of changing. And making sure that we have the true vision of RNCC and be able to deliver that in the project. So in AVL, many people don't understand what AVL really stands for. Just to give you a quick brief, A stands for audio. Our main purpose is to make sure that the audio is clean, that the message is being delivered in a very clean format so everybody could hear it clearly. So for V is for video. We make sure that every message is being recorded properly, is being sent to all the different streams properly, that we're able to also give content to the stage that's going to be able to enhance the message. And for lighting is the same concept. In the lighting area, we make sure that all your fixtures in the house are accurate and make sure that we are able to set an atmosphere for the worship that sets up for the message. So how this process works is we sit down, we get a true vision of where the church is now and where does it want to go in the future. And by the church we mean every department. We sit down with the media, we sit down with the techs, we sit down with the executives, kids department, youth department, and make sure that we have a full image of everything. And then after that, we sit down with all the architects and designers to make sure that we can deliver in a cost-effective way to implement this in the new building. Well, one of the things that we accomplish, and we, as a company, we have a motto, and it's basically build relationships. And so for us is to be able to be with you guys in the beginning, in the middle, in the end, and then 5 or 10 years down the road. Our motto is that we grow a relationship moving forward, and every time you guys expand again, because it will happen again, we'll be there for you and be able to guide you guys in that process again.
My name is Josh Lazar, and I am the Chief Creative Officer for Story Labs. What we do is we help churches, businesses, organizations tell their story. We bring their story to life. What we do is we help churches understand who they are, what they inherently value, and how we communicate that in a manner that's clear and succinct. There's an inherent authenticity when you communicate from what do we value and what is our thing. It's very easy to pick and choose things that we see in other organizations, other churches, but that might not fit us. So when we come from a place of authenticity, people walk in and know these people are for real. This place fits them, and we know exactly what they stand for and who they are. The goal in this process is that we create a new space for a new season of ministry. But yet, the moment somebody walks in for the very first time, if they've been a part of Raleigh North for a long time, they walk in and still feel like this is home. It's just an updated version of who we are. So those values that we help the church discover at the beginning will really inform every single decision that we move forward with. Here's an example. If we're looking at certain colors or finishes or signage or decisions that we need to make throughout the process, it's easy to go back and say, okay, is this what we value? Let's allow those values to inform the process. I think it's really cool that no matter where you are in the journey, that people can come together and be a part of a family. That's really cool for us to be able to see a finished product and to see people interact with that product, the facility, the environment, the emotions that they evoke, the things that you value come to life so that people just feel like they're home. And I think that's really exciting. It's exciting for us to see the energy of opening weekend and just how the church comes together to celebrate what God has done.
I'm Jim Baker. I'm with Choate Construction Company. Choate Construction Company is a 31-year-old company that has offices in 6 cities: Atlanta, Charlotte, Raleigh, Savannah, Charleston, and Nashville, Tennessee. And we're doing work in probably 8 different states currently across the country, but primarily focused to the Mid-Atlantic and South Atlantic areas. So, as a project executive, when you pull together the team and you assign tasks, the goal is that I ensure that Choate meets every expectation of the church. So, this process is collaborative, as always, but what we will do is, first, the architect has it's a basic plan. Once we get the plans developed, it's called a schematic design. So once we get that down, the schematic is sort of locked down. Then we go to design development. The plans get developed further. We reprice it again to make sure that we're staying on track, or if we can recognize an area of savings, we'll go for that. And so then once it moves out of design development, it goes to construction documents, CDs. Now it's getting down to the final details, working with vendors, and it's all getting a final coordination. I like what I see in the plans, and right now we're working as a team to finalize all of those plans and try to bring everything right to the right budget number, and then make sure it's something that we can build in the time frame allotted. These types of projects in particular get me really excited. Anytime that there is a pastor with a vision and I can see that everyone around him is supporting him in his vision, and you know, they already own the land. They've put the vision out there, and everyone's coming behind them to support it. I can feel the momentum. Now that I've been in this facility, had the chance to walk around, I can see what kind of an expansion of the ministry it will be there. I can see how the vision will come together there so much better, and I've seen the land, the site. It's a beautiful site, great location, so I think it's all coming together very nicely here.
I'm Craig Krozik, President and Lead Designer of Live Design Group. We are architects and interior designers who specialize in designing church facilities all over the country. I have been with Live Design Group for 20 years, and most of that time I've had the privilege of working with over 100 churches. We are working closely with the RNCC team, the general contractors, and the engineers to design the facility and create all the drawings needed to construct the building. I lead the team of architects and interior designers who are establishing the overall design for the project. From interior design to exterior design, we create the seating layouts in the sanctuary, we pick out the finishes in the lobby and the children's education classrooms, and we design the signage and graphics throughout the cafe and the information center. We are so excited to be on the team that is bringing your new church home into reality. For us, it's more than just a building. We are helping create a place that will be a central part of your community, a place that will house so many of the memories of your lives. You will get baptized in this place. You will get married in this place. You will see your children and your grandchildren grow up in this place, and you will celebrate the lives of family and friends in this place. We hope to create an environment that heightens your weekly experience with each other and allows you to grow closer to God through these experiences.
Now you know our story and why we need Project 5009.
Here's our latest draft of our new campus design.
So today, I'm asking that you help us continue to build dreams in people by making a financial contribution towards the next phase of construction at Project 5009. Please join us in sowing a $1,000 seed. If you already have given a $1,000 groundbreaking seed, please consider giving again. If you haven't, now is a great opportunity to sow in faith. Then pray about making an annual contribution of $1,000, $5,000, or even $10,000 to Project 5009. Together, and with your help, we will make even a greater impact in our community.
At Raleigh North, we're about building people, building dreams. Think about how you have been positively impacted by this ministry. As we look forward, we want you to see you come up higher and experience greater in God. We want to see you increase.